Okay, story time how I got my face tatted in an African household at the age of 18. Okay, so I've been planning on getting one since I was 16 years old. And I just turned 18, bitch. What a better time to do it than now? Honestly, one day I was just sitting there and I was like, I'm gonna get this shit tomorrow. And I got it the next day. The pain level was like a 2 out of 10. I was actually gonna get it a little bit higher, but I was like, I don't know about all that. I was just a little scared. So I was like, you know what? Just leave it right there. The only people that know about it is my mom and my little brother. Me and my mom made an agreement. We were like, bitch, we're not gonna tell that. We're not gonna tell my dad. But if he finds out, I don't think he's gonna do anything because he didn't like when I got piercings either. And I have several piercings all over my body. I can't cover it with makeup because it's brand new. So I have to wait a couple weeks. So when I do go around my dad, I kind of just like cover it with my hair, or I just act like I'm scratching my eye. He's definitely gonna be mad when he finds out. But the plan is to never let him find out. So some people are gonna watch this video and probably snitch on me because y'all love to sabotage your bitch. But go ahead and do that. I started matching my dad's energy a long time ago. He met his match. So go ahead.
One thing I learned is when cops show up to a party, do not hesitate to run. There was a group of kids that stayed hiding in the basement. They hid in a closet, they hid in just like under the couch and rooms and shit. And then there was another group of kids who ran out the back door. Me and my buddy were a part of that group. So we're all running like a free-for-all, and this kid's backyard is just straight wilderness. Me and my buddy end up getting separated, and I'm fucked because my phone is dead. We gotta be at least like a quarter mile into the fucking forest by now, so I'm freaking out. I need to find my buddy. We need to meet up and do what his dad told us to do. So I'm standing all alone in the woods, and I just start screaming, Gary! A few seconds goes by. I hear my buddy scream from a distance, Gio! So we keep screaming like that until we eventually find each other. And my buddy was just with two random girls that we like didn't even know. They were staying by him because they were scared and they didn't know where to go. So now it's time to execute the plan his dad told us to do if shit went wrong. My buddy picks up his phone and calls his dad. His dad answers and he says, Dad, we're in a bit of a pickle. So his dad's just like, I'll be there in 10 minutes. Do what I told you to do. So pretty much he just wrote us this route we had to go if we had to run. When you look at this kid's house from a hole, there's the main driveway that leads up to the garage. And then on the side of that driveway, there's a gravel driveway that's like surrounded by trees. So he has two driveways. So we're in the woods right now. We navigate, dude. We do all these fucking maneuvers and we had to go through a bunch of thorn bushes. I'm getting scraped up. Now, something I didn't mention before. I had a backpack on with some herb in it, about 3.5 grams. So yeah, I was like shitting my pants. So we're going this route his dad told us to go, and eventually we hit the gravel driveway. We see his dad parked in his SUV right at the end of the driveway, waiting for us to just get in the car. The only problem was, on the main driveway, there had to have been at least 8 cop cars. We look to our left and see like 20 kids with the cops just all getting booked, dude. So I just look at my buddy, I'm like, dude, don't even look at the police, let's just walk. We straight up just walked down this gravel driveway, past all these cops, past all these kids getting arrested, and we literally just get in my buddy's car. I'll never forget, his mom was sitting in the front seat, and his mom was like, Gary, where's your sweatshirt? And my buddy was just like, it's in the basement. And his mom told him to go get it. And his dad was driving, and his dad was just like, fuck that, floored it out of there.
This is how I got shamed multiple times for my parenting style by a Karen. I was in the grocery store with my youngest daughter, who's 3 years old, and was sitting in the cart. She was thirsty, but I didn't have enough time to go to the checkout and back again to get water, so I got her some Fanta from my bag. I gave her a couple sips and then took it away from her and said that I would get her water in 5 minutes. She spotted a chocolate bar and I let her have it because it was bite-sized, and I was proud of her for going to school for the first time. I don't let her have that much junk every day. So we were shopping for the essentials when a Karen comes over and her kid's in a suit and tie. I'm not even joking. He's walking along the cart and he also sees the chocolate and he stubs his toe. I'm about to help him up when his mom comes over and he's crying. She screams, grown men don't cry, which only makes him cry more, and his mom scolded him more. He responds by saying he's just 4, and that leads to another tantrum. From his mom, I mean. When she sees me staring at her kid because I was trying to make sure he was okay, she says I'm promoting unhealthy eating habits for my daughter and I'm a bad influence. She says my daughter's lazy and doesn't eat healthy, and that makes me a disgustingly immature mother. I acted super cheerful because I wanted to get rid of her. Later, when the mother let the kid ask for chocolate and he was told it would make his teeth rot.
So a little background information. Her and I had been best friends since we were in 7th grade. Her family was rich, mine was poor, and at first she was a really good friend. She was always there for me whenever I needed her, until our freshman year of high school, which is when her and I started hanging out with boys. Now, my mom was kind of strict. She wouldn't really let me hang out with boys, but her mom was more lenient about her hanging out with boys. Every weekend she would throw a party at her house. And she would throw them in her attic because one, it was huge, and two, her parents didn't give a fuck what she did up there. Anyways, she would always offer to do my hair and makeup before the party started, which always made me really excited because I never really put any work into my physical appearance. Well, little did I know, the only reason why she would offer to do my hair and makeup at these parties was so that way she could make me look like shit in front of all the boys. So after that, I taught myself how to do my own makeup and do my own hair, like for part 2. Part 2 about why I beat up my best friend. So like I said, I learned how to do my hair and makeup, and she went on vacation for like a month straight. Well, when she came home, she threw another party, and she was like, don't worry, after I'm done getting ready, I'll do your makeup and do your hair. And I was like, no, it's fine, I got it. She literally looks at me and she goes, are you sure? You don't really know how to do that. Like, it'll probably look really bad. And I'm like, why the fuck would you say that? She goes, no, like, I don't mean it to be rude. It's just that, like, I want you to look good in front of the boys and stuff like that. Like, sis tried to talk me into getting a shower for a full, like, 20 minutes. So after that, the whole night, she's literally being a pick-me girl. She's making all these comments about me in front of the boys, and I just keep brushing them off until her next party. We got ready, and I put on these expensive shoes that I had just bought, and she goes, wow, you just like really like to copy my style, don't you? So she starts making comments that whole night about how my family's poor and stuff like that, and she threw up all over my shoes. So I dumped the trash can that everybody had threw up in that night on her, punched her in the face, but like 2 months later, she came to my house and apologized.
Story time about my touchy English teacher. And no, he did not get fired. He still works at that same school till this day. Let's get into it. This happened when I was a senior in high school, literally last year. His class was the new English class that I switched to because my other English teacher wasn't teaching me shit. So I went to the office and asked if I could switch my classes, and they said yes. But only if I was willing to drop honors English and do regular English. And I also would have to be in a freshman class. I was honestly willing to do whatever to get out the class, so I was like, sure. And now I honestly wish I didn't because of this. So it first started off with him being super nice to me, which is kind of weird because I never really talked to him before. He made me like a class leader just because I was older. And every single time I walked into his classroom, he would try to talk to me. Like, not even about school, literally about anything. I didn't think that was weird. I was guessing he talked to me so much because I was older and we could relate on more stuff. This is when things started taking a turn for the worse. During tests or quizzes, he would walk around the classroom and he would always make his way back to me just so he could rub my shoulders. Or he would run his fingers through my hair. That was the biggest red flag. Then he asked me to stay after school for extra credit, like for part 2. Part 2 of my touchy English teacher. Some things I would like to add from the last video. I never had him as a teacher before, not even freshman year. I moved to that school when I was a sophomore. They told me that he was known to be creepy and that so many girls have complained about him making them uncomfortable. But they were just rumors, so I didn't think that much of it. Till that man started rubbing my shoulders in class. And it's the fact that he rubbed my shoulders and nobody else's. I was not 18, I was still 17 years old. I just started senior year. Back to the story. So he asked me to stay after school for extra credit. He said he wanted me to help him set up a project for his students, and he doesn't know what young kids like, and apparently every freshman in his class had something to do after school, so I had to do it. But since he said he would give me extra credit, I was like, okay, sure. And I definitely didn't think that this would happen. So my last class was forensics, so after school I went to his classroom. He didn't have any supplies out or anything, so I was like, what project? He tells me to reach on top of a shelf behind his desk. He was literally sitting at his desk, he could have done it himself. So I was like, okay, but as soon as I reach up on that shelf, he gets up and grabs my ass. Like for part 3, because it only gets worse from here. This is part 3 of my touchy English teacher. So like I said, he asked me to get something off of the shelf behind his desk while he was sitting at his desk, and as soon as I go up to grab it, he grabs my ass. He literally stood up to grab it. And then I spun around and started looking at him crazy. Well, after he grabbed my butt, he kept walking as if his arm just brushed up against my ass. And he looked back at me and he was like, is everything okay? Like, okay, so we're just gonna act like he didn't just do what he just did. But I just looked at him and I was like, everything's okay. I told him that I had just gotten a text from my mom and an emergency happened, so I had to go home. But instead of going home, I went to a friend's house, and it was the same friend who told me all the rumors of that teacher being a creep. I went to a friend's house instead of going straight home because I was crying really hard and I didn't want my parents to be concerned, and I wasn't sure if I wanted to tell them what happened or not. I was only crying because I felt super uncomfortable and I didn't know what else to do. When I got to my friend's house, she told me that she would go to the office with me at school the next day. So the next day came and we went to the office. This is part 4 this is of what my they touchy said when we English told teacher. them what happened. So my friend and me went to the office to tell the principal what happened. And he was acting really concerned and everything until I told him which teacher it was. Then he was like, oh, yeah, we get complaints about him all the time. And I was like, so are you going to do something about it? Why haven't you done something about it already? And he goes, well, a lot of students will make up things about a teacher they don't like just so they can get them in trouble. But I'm not saying you're making it up. Of course, we're gonna have to look into it. Well, I told him that I wasn't comfortable in that class anymore and I wanted to go back to my honors English class. And he let me switch back. Well, after like 5 months, I still never heard anything from my principal. And I didn't know what better to do but move on with my life. I still saw him in the hallway sometimes and it was just really awkward. And he would smile at me as if what happened didn't happen. They basically just let him get away with it because multiple girls have complained about him before, but they didn't have any proof against him. Since there was no proof, they didn't do anything. But I feel like if it was multiple girls, something should have been done. But that's just me.